My homage to the gem of the Supreme Buddha. The Buddha is my refuge every day. My homage to the gem of the Supreme Dhamma. The Dhamma is my refuge every day. My homage to the gem of the Supreme Sangha. The Sangha is my refuge every day. My homage to the Supreme Triple Gem. The Triple Gem is my refuge every day. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya. Meritorious duties. We have gotten a very rare opportunity in this human life to understand the true nature of this life using the teachings of a fully enlightened Buddha. Now we are going to learn a very important discourse of the Supreme Buddha. Using this discourse, we are going to learn about a very big danger that is in all beings' lives. It is only because we learn the teachings of the Supreme Buddha we have the opportunity to learn about this danger, because our great teacher, the Supreme Buddha, developed an excellent knowledge to understand the true nature of this life. Ordinary people in this world don't have that knowledge. So in this discourse, Supreme Buddha explains about hell, how beings are reborn in hell, and how beings are experiencing racking, painful, and piercing feelings in hell. Meritorious devotees, when we learn this discourse, we will be able to understand very clearly the main purpose of practicing this Dhamma. Why we should give priority to practice this Dhamma. This is not a simple thing. We have to think about this task seriously, because Supreme Buddha has explained in many discourses of the Blessed One that we have suffered in hell many times in our previous lives. We have suffered a lot. In this discourse, first Supreme Buddha explains about the characteristics of a being who is liable to be born as a hell being. This is how Supreme Buddha preached the Dhamma. Because there are these three characteristics of a fool, signs of a fool, attributes of a fool. What three? Here, a fool is one who thinks bad thoughts, speaks bad words, and does bad deeds. Now, in terms of this danger of falling into a bad world, into hell, Supreme Buddha explains about the danger of ordinary life. That means always an ordinary person is reckoned as a fool. Bala. Here Bala means in the sense of an ordinary person, Putujjano, who does not have any understanding about the excellent teaching of the Supreme Buddha. He is not aware of this danger of this life. So he is unskilled in this teaching. He is a fool. One becomes a fool, or one continues living as a fool because of these three main characteristics. Supreme Buddha explains, a fool is one who thinks bad thoughts, sensual thoughts, thoughts of ill will, and thoughts of cruelty and harming. A fool is one who speaks bad words, who tells lies, speaks maliciously using divisive speech, speaks harshly, and who gossips. He does bad things using his speech. And a fool is one who does bad deeds using his body. He kills beings, steals, and engages in sexual misconduct. This is the danger of that life of an ordinary person, the life of a fool. Meritorious devotees, why does he do these bad things? Because he doesn't know about wholesome qualities and unwholesome qualities. He doesn't know about good worlds and bad worlds. He doesn't know about the mechanism of karma. Why? Because he hasn't gotten any opportunity to study this Dhamma. That's a very unfortunate situation. Don't forget, we have been born in this long journey of samsara again and again as a fool. As a fool. That is the danger. This is the only opportunity we have here in this human world with the teachings of the Supreme Buddha to escape from this danger of the ordinary life. Supreme Buddha explains further, if a fool were not so, how would the wise know him thus? This person is a fool, an untrue man, an untrue person. Here, always a fool, an ordinary person, Putujjano, Bala, is always an asakpurisa, an untrue person. Supreme Buddha explains, how would wise people know him that this person is a fool if he didn't use his body, speech, and his actions in a bad way? But because a fool is one who thinks bad thoughts, speaks bad words, and does bad deeds, the wise know him thus. This person is a fool, an untrue person. Wise people can recognize him very easily through his bad bodily actions, verbal actions and mental actions. Then Supreme Buddha is going to explain how a fool suffers in this very life due to his bad actions. Supreme Buddha explains, a fool feels pain and grief here and now in 3 ways. Now this is very important. This is not about his suffering after death, but in this very life he has to suffer as the consequences. If a fool is seated in an assembly or along a street or in a square, and people there are discussing certain cases and relevant matters about bad people and how bad people have done bad things and how they are criticized in the society due to their bad actions, such as killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying and harming others. If the fool is one who kills living beings, steals, engages in sexual misconduct, speaks falsehood, and indulges in wine, liquor and intoxicants, he thinks these people are discussing certain situations about bad people. These things are found in me, and I am seen engaging in those things. This is the first kind of pain and grief that a fool feels here and now. See here, Supreme Buddha explains how a fool suffers internally, recollecting his own bad deeds. He can't escape from his regretful and remorseful memory. Again, Supreme Buddha explains the second case where a fool suffers here and now. When a robber culprit is caught, a fool sees kings having many kinds of torture inflicted on him. The police and the army have given punishment on him. So they put him in a jail and give various kinds of punishments. So Supreme Buddha explains here some of those punishments that were given in the time of the Buddha. He is beaten with canes, beaten with clubs, having his hands cut off, his feet cut off, his hands and feet cut off, his ears cut off, his nose cut off, and like that he undergoes very painful punishment. And having him splashed with boiling oil, and having him thrown to be devoured by dogs, and having him impaled alive on stakes, and having his head cut off with a sword. Now, this person who has done bad deeds happens to see such a person undergoing punishment. Then the fool thinks thus. Now this person is suffering a lot due to his bad actions. he undergoes various kinds of punishment. I also have done same bad actions. Those things are found in me. Those bad actions are found in me. And I am seen engaging in those things. If I were to caught, I also would have to suffer like this. This is the second kind of pain and grief that a fool feels here and now. So this is also very dangerous. Even though people tend to do bad things secretly, they can't escape from this mental suffering, fear, pain and grief. They can't use their money or wealth to live happily with a peaceful mind. Next, Supreme Buddha explains, again, when a fool is on his chair or on his bed or resting on the ground or in a secluded place, then the evil actions that he did in the past, his bodily, verbal and mental misconduct, cover him, overspread him and envelop him. See, he can never hide from the unwholesome memory. Just as the shadow of a great mountain peak in the evening covers, overspreads and envelops the earth, so too when a fool is in a secluded place, in his room or maybe in his bed, all those unwholesome qualities that are stored in his mind follow him, cover him and envelop him. Think about his suffering. Maybe he shows a completely different face to the society, but internally he suffers a lot. Others can't see that. But that is how karma and results function. So when his unwholesome memory, regretful memory follows him, covers him and overspreads him, the fool thinks, I have not done what is good. I have not done what is wholesome. I have not made myself a shelter from suffering. I have done what is evil. I have done what is cruel. I have done what is wicked. When I pass away, now he thinks about his next life. I shall go to the destination of those who have not done what is good, but done what is evil. Thinking about the danger of falling into a terrible world like hell, he sorrows, grieves and laments. He weeps, beating his breast, and becomes distraught. He goes mad. This is the third kind of pain and grief that a fool feels here and now. He can't bear when he sees his destiny. So, Supreme Buddha explains, finally, a fool who has given himself over to misconduct of body, speech and mind on the dissolution of body after death reappears in a state of deprivation, in an unhappy destination, even in hell. Now, meritorious devotees, it is very clear that the reason that takes a being to hell is completely one's actions. This is not done by an external force or influence, such as a person called a creator God. One undergoes this unfortunate situation completely due to one's actions, due to one's bodily actions, verbal actions, and mental actions. That is why Supreme Buddha has explained in many ways that we should pay attention to our actions. Whether we do bodily misconduct, verbal misconduct, and mental misconduct. But a fool always fails to pay attention to their actions because of not having the opportunity to learn the teachings of the Supreme Buddha. So as a result, he reappears in hell after death. Now, do you remember, meritorious devotees, that our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us that after death, many humans are going to be born in hell. So this is not an insignificant thing that we should ignore. We should understand this danger very clearly. So what is the reason why many people after death are reborn in hell? Because of this bad behavior, because of their lives as fools and untrue people, people who live without the association of Kalyana Mithas, noble friends. As a result of living without understanding karma, action and result, the natural law, the doctrine in this world, universal law. So, because of that lack of knowledge, a fool tends to do lots of bad things using one's body, speech and mind. Now Supreme Buddha explains, as a result of one's bad conduct, now this person has been born in hell. Our great teacher with extraordinary knowledge explains, were it rightly speaking to be said of anything that is utterly unwished for, utterly undesired, utterly unpleasant, and utterly disagreeable, it is of hell that rightly speaking this should be said. So much so that it is hard to find a simile for the suffering in hell. Think about this statement of the Supreme Buddha. Now here Supreme Buddha teaches this Dhamma as a fully enlightened, extraordinary Supreme Buddha who could see hell as it really is. The Blessed One was able to see hell through his divine eye, unlike other ordinary scientists and ordinary people. Supreme Buddha developed a special eye called divine eye, which enabled the Blessed One to see hell as it really is. So without any doubt, any uncertainty, our great teacher Supreme Buddha explains here, even a simile, even it is very hard to explain this suffering, immense suffering in hell, even giving a simile. When this is said, a bhikkhu asked the Blessed One, "But Bhante, can a simile be given?" The Blessed One, the most compassionate teacher, answered, "It can be, Bhikkhu." Now Supreme Buddha is going to explain this suffering in hell out of compassion using a simile. It is not easy to explain the suffering in hell using a simile, but since all beings are ignorant and they don't know anything about hell, Supreme Buddha here tries to explain about hell using a simile. That is the great compassion of the Supreme Buddha. Otherwise, people wouldn't take this seriously. They would be negligent because they can't see hell through their naked eyes. They don't have any idea. So Supreme Buddha tries very hard to establish fear in them about this dangerous world called hell. Bhikkhu, suppose men caught a robber culprit and presented him to the king, saying, "Sire, here is a robber culprit. Order what punishment you will for him." Then the king said, "Go and strike this man in the morning with 100 spears." And they struck him in the morning with 100 spears, with 100 swords. Then at noon the king asked, "How is that man?" "Sire, he is still alive." Then the king said, "Go and strike that man at noon with 100 spears, with very sharp pointed arrows." And they struck him at noon with 100 spears. Then in the evening the king asked, "How is that man?" "Sire, he is still alive." Remember, this is a simile Supreme Buddha explains. And they struck him in the evening with 100 spears. Supreme Buddha asks the bhikkhus, "What do you think, bhikkhus? Would that man experience pain and grief because of being struck with the 300 spears with very sharp arrows on him?" "Bhante," the bhikkhus replied, "Bhante, that man would experience pain and grief because of being struck with even one spear, let alone 300. Then, taking a small stone the size of his hand, the Blessed One addressed the bhikkhus thus, "What do you think, bhikkhus? Which is greater? This small stone that I have taken, the size of my hand, or Himalaya, the king of mountains?" The bhikkhus replied, "Bhante, the small stone that the Blessed One has taken, the size of his hand, does not count beside Himalaya, the king of mountains. It is not even a fraction. There is no comparison, Bhante. There is no comparison." So too, bhikkhus, the pain and grief that the man would experience because of being struck with the 300 spears does not count beside the suffering of hell. It is not even a fraction. There is no comparison. See, can we imagine that suffering in hell? And we must not forget that we have suffered immensely for uncountable eons in hell. That's why Supreme Buddha had that great compassion to help beings to escape from this hell. But unfortunately, because of our ignorant mind, everything is closed for us. Everything is hidden. The reality of this life is hidden for us. But without the help of the Supreme Buddha, no one is able to disclose it and reveal the truth. Only the Supreme Buddha can expound and reveal the truth. This is how Supreme Buddha explains about various kinds of punishment that are given in hell. Now, the wardens of hell torture him with the fivefold transfixing, Panchavidha Bandhana. Now this fool, now we talked about a person who engaged in bodily misconduct, verbal misconduct and mental misconduct. So that now this person has been born as a hell being. Now the wardens of hell torture him with a special punishment called the fivefold transfixing. Supreme Buddha saw this very clearly. Hell wardens drive a red hot iron stake through one hand of that hell being. Now he is lying on the ground, and they drive a red hot iron stake through one hand. They drive a red hot iron stake through the other hand. They drive a red hot iron stake through one foot. Again they drive a red hot iron stake through the other foot. They drive a red hot iron stake in the middle through his breast. Can we imagine that suffering? We should not forget that this is about our own life. This is about our own story. There he feels painful, racking, piercing feelings. Yet he does not die so long as that evil action has not exhausted its result. That's the next unfortunate thing. Now, in this human world, if we are struck with such a thing, such an arrow, such a stake, for sure we would die on the spot. And that suffering would end there. But that's not the case in hell. Because of the consequence of that evil action, that hell being has to suffer continuously until that result of his evil action comes to an end. This is the realization of our great teacher, the Supreme Buddha. Next, the wardens of hell throw him down and pare him with axes. There he feels painful, racking, piercing feelings. Yet he does not die so long as that evil action has not exhausted its result. We should know the consequences of evil actions. Since people are not aware of these punishment, they don't have fear of wrongdoing. That's why we should learn these discourses of the Supreme Buddha in order to develop that fear of wrongdoing in our lives. Now, Supreme Buddha explains and preaches in many ways, don't do these bad things. But sometimes we are curious. Why? What's the reason? When we do these things, sometimes we experience some kind of happiness. We question, why does the Supreme Buddha ask us to stop these actions? This is the reason. When such evil actions are done, the consequences are very grave and dangerous. Our great teacher saw that danger very clearly and explains further. Next, the wards of hell set him with his feet up and his head down, and pair him with adzes. There he feels painful, racking, piercing feelings. Yet he does not die so long as that evil actions has not exhausted its result. Now the punishment continues. Next, the wardens of hell harness him to a chariot and drive him back and forth across ground that is burning, blazing, and glowing. Is there any being who could help this innocent being in hell? No. Are there any kind words in hell? No. That is why now we are experiencing the results of our meritorious deeds in this human life. But we should not be deluded. Demeritorious actions give painful results. There he feels painful, racking, piercing feelings. Next, the wards of hell make him climb up and down a great mound of coals that are burning, blazing, and glowing. There he feels painful, racking, piercing feelings. Yet he does not die so long as that evil action has not exhausted its result. See now, when we saw these pictures in temples on walls as drawings, we laughed at them sometimes, thinking that they are illusional things or imaginary things. But when we learn these discourses of the Supreme Buddha, we can understand. No, this is the truth. Supreme Buddha saw this. Next, the Supreme Buddha explains, the wards of hell take him feet up and head down and plunge him into a burning pot with red hot metal cauldron. he is cooked there in a swirl of froth. His body becomes like a lump of foam. He is cooked there. And he is being cooked there in a swirl of froth. He is swept now up, now down, and now across. There he feels painful, racking, piercing feelings. Yet he does not die so long as that evil action has not exhausted its result. Now, meritorious devotees, a hell being has to undergo this immense suffering for eons and eons. That is the danger. Now, we live in this human world for a very short period of time. It is usually less than 100 years. But within this time period, the actions that are done by us generate results. If those actions are evil, we will have to suffer experiencing those results for many eons and eons in hell, for many hundreds and thousands and hundreds of thousands of years, eons in hell. That is the nature of this world. That is how this karma and result function. This natural law, this doctrine functions. No one can escape from this natural law without following the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, why does Supreme Buddha explains like this danger in hell? It is because Supreme Buddha had that great compassion about beings who have been born in this human world as human beings very rarely, after a very long time. So Supreme Buddha wanted to help these beings to escape from this hell. That is the only purpose that Supreme Buddha had. Supreme Buddha wanted to emphasize the importance of following the Noble Eightfold Path. Again, Supreme Buddha explains. Next, the wardens of hell throw him into the great hell, Mahaniraya. Now, as to that great hell, bhikkhus, now Supreme Buddha explains about the nature of great hell. It has 4 corners and is built with 4 doors, one set in each side, like a huge metal box, walled up with iron and all around, and shut in with an iron roof. Its floor as well is made of iron, and heated till it glows with fire. The range is a full 100 leagues, which it covers all pervasively. So can we imagine how these beings in hell are suffering? Even now, incalculable hell beings are suffering in hell. Supreme Buddha explains very clearly, majority of the population of beings are in hell. Because I could tell you in many ways about hell, so much so that it is hard to finish describing the suffering in hell. That is the realization of a fully enlightened Buddha. If you could see hell with extraordinary knowledges. Now, meritorious devotees, when Supreme Buddha explains about hell, we should think about our lives. We should have sympathy and compassion about ourselves. We have missed many opportunities in this long journey of samsara. We have missed many opportunities that we could have used to escape from this hell. What is the reason? Because we did not get an opportunity to escape from that life of a fool, Bala, and the life of an asapurisa, an untrue person. We continued our wicked deeds, evil deeds, because of our ignorant life. But after a very long time, a Supreme Buddha appears in this world and realizes the true nature of this life with extraordinary knowledges. Supreme Buddha understands very clearly, in this world there is a natural law called karma and result. This mechanism functions in all beings' lives. When we do good deeds, we are going to experience happy results, good results. When we do bad deeds, we are going to experience bad results. That is the nature of this natural law. So we have to be very careful with our actions. Meritorious devotees, next Supreme Buddha is going to explain about another bad world where beings suffer a lot. This is about the animal world. Now Supreme Buddha explains about the suffering in animal world. Now we have a very narrow and limited knowledge about the animal world. When we see some animals going here and there, running, flying, and making sounds, we completely misunderstand about their lives. But this is the true nature of their suffering. We should not forget that they have been born in a bad world, not in a good world. They have been born there as the results of their, or due to their evil actions, not due to their good actions. Because there are animals that feed on grass. They eat by cropping fresh or dried grass with their teeth. And what animals feed on grass? Horses, cattle, donkeys, goats and deer, and any other such animals. A fool who formerly delighted in tastes here and did evil actions here. Here means in the human world. A fool who delighted in tastes, that means who tried to gratify senses, followed by craving, who pursued sensual pleasures, and as a result, who did lots of bad deeds. On the dissolution of the body after death, reappears in the company of animals that feed on grass. There are animals that feed on dung. They smell dung from a distance and run to it, thinking, we can eat, we can eat. Just as Brahmins run to the smell of sacrifice, thinking, we can eat here, we can eat here. So too these animals that feed on dung smell dung from a distance and run to it, thinking we can eat here, we can eat here. And what animals feed on dung? Fowls, pigs, dogs, jackals, and any other such animals. Supreme Buddha explains the reason. A fool who formerly delighted in tastes here and did evil actions here in the human world. Now previously they were human beings, maybe in very rich families, very wealthy people, who had lots of wealth, who had powers in the society, status, but they didn't know the danger of gratifying senses and doing evil deeds. They considered only the gratification of this world. They did not pay attention to their actions in the struggle of achieving them. As a result, in their next life, they have been born as animals, very unfortunate animals. After death, such a fool reappears in the company of animals that feed on dung. Supreme Buddha explains further. There are animals that are born, age, and die in darkness. And what animals are born, age, and die in darkness? Moths, maggots, and earthworms, and any other such animals. Again, Supreme Buddha explains, there are animals that are born, age, and die in water. And what animals are born, age, and die in water? Fish, turtles, and crocodiles, and any other such animals. There are animals that are born, age, and die in filth. And what animals are born, age, and die in filth? Those animals that are born, age, and die in a rotten fish, in a rotten corpse, or in a rotten porridge, or in a cesspit, or in a sewer. A fool who formerly delighted in tastes in this human world and did evil actions here, after death reappears in the company of animals that are born, age, and die in filth. Meritorious devotees, this is the true nature of this animal world. That's a bad world. When one is born in this animal world, it's not easy for a being to escape from that state. Supreme Buddha explains in other discourses, the reason is that those beings don't have any opportunity to collect merits, to do wholesome deeds. That's the danger. They're completely stuck there. See how unfortunate their lives are. Because I could tell you in many ways about the animal kingdom, so much so that it is hard to finish describing the suffering in the animal kingdom. Suppose a man threw into the sea a yoke with one hole in it, and the east wind carried it to the west, and the west wind carried it to the east, and the north wind carried it to the south, and the south wind carried it to the north. Suppose there were a blind turtle that came up once at the end of each century, each 100 years. What do you think, bhikkhus? Would that blind turtle put his neck into that yoke with one hole in it? He might, Bhante, sometime or other at the end of a long period. Having explained that simile, Supreme Buddha says, Bhikkhus, the blind turtle would sooner put his neck into that yoke with a single hole in it than a fool once gone to perdition would take to regain the human state. Supreme Buddha saw that very clearly. How hard it is for a being in a bad world to regain a human life. Why is it? Why is that? Because there is no practicing of the Dhamma there, no practicing of what is righteous, no doing of what is wholesome, no performance of merit. Their mutual devouring, eating prevails, and the slaughter of the weak. That's the only thing they do. Always the stronger one eats the weaker one. So that means we can understand very clearly that in the animal world there is a huge fear, unimaginable fear among animals. Always the weaker one is a target of the stronger one. Now we didn't see that suffering among animals. So, meritorious devotees, in many ways Supreme Buddha has explained suffering in hell and animal world. And we know how Supreme Buddha has explained suffering in hungry ghost world, how ghosts suffer. Supreme Buddha wanted to explain these sufferings in these bad worlds with only one intention. Supreme Buddha wanted to emphasize that you should make an effort, you should work very hard to use this rare human life in order to escape from these bad worlds. So, meritorious devotees, this is a very rare opportunity even to hear about this suffering in bad worlds. So, we should not miss this opportunity. We should not misunderstand about this life. May all of us have the opportunity to understand the true nature of this life using the excellent teaching of the Supreme Buddha, and using that knowledge, may all of us make an effort to escape from hell, animal world, ghost world, and from all bad worlds in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya.